A booming tech city, a quiet rural town, one hidden catastrophe. Both are sinking into the same crisis, and most people don't even see it. In this travel documentary by NVL Travel Documentary, we go beyond the scenic shots and tourist guides to reveal the truth beneath the surface. Behind Illinois' shiny skyline lies a darker story, one of rising crime, mass homelessness, and a drug epidemic unraveling communities from the inside out. Illinois isn't just another American state, it's a mirror, a warning, and a story you need to hear. Stay with us, it only gets deeper. Number 1, a state split by the same storm. It was a cold, wet night in Chicago, February 2025. The kind of night where the rain doesn't fall in sheets but in thin, endless needles that pierce your coat and cling to your skin. I was walking down West Van Buren Street when I saw him. A man, maybe in his 50s, sitting on an overturned milk crate beneath the flickering light of a bus stop. No sign, no cup, just a plastic poncho and a pair of soaked sneakers, one missing its sole. He looked straight ahead, eyes unfocused but unafraid. Not begging, not moving, just there. That moment hasn't left me since. Because in that stillness, in the puddle beneath his feet and the silence around him, I saw something I hadn't been ready to face. Homelessness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it just waits. And that's where our story begins. In 2025, Illinois feels like two separate worlds trapped in the same zip code. On one end stands Chicago, a shimmering skyline of luxury condos, sleek tech offices, and rooftop bars. Tourists snap selfies at the Bean, while investors pour millions into new developments rising from the city's concrete veins. Chicago has rebranded itself as a tech-forward, globally connected hub, the Silicon Valley of the Midwest. But blink once, and the illusion breaks. Because just a few blocks from those polished towers, a darker reality takes hold. In makeshift tent cities under the Dan Ryan Expressway, in CTA stations filled with cigarette smoke and broken silence, over 91% of Illinois' homeless population struggles to survive. Behind the glass walls of luxury, there are people sleeping on cardboard, wrapped in trash bags for warmth. And what about the rest of Illinois? The places no one puts on postcards? Drive downstate into Clay County, Shelbyville, or Effingham, and the scenery shifts. No high-rises, no traffic horns, just open skies, farmland, and silence. At first, everything seems peaceful, idyllic even. But underneath that rural calm lies a poverty that speaks in whispers, not shouts. Here, homelessness looks different. There are no tents lining sidewalks, but that doesn't mean people have homes. Families cram into old RVs parked behind gas stations. Teenagers bounce between friends' garages. Single moms stay in cheap motels, paying by the week because they can't qualify for a lease. People aren't just houseless, they're invisible. The data supports it. In 2025, rural counties in Illinois report a 50% increase in what experts call hidden homelessness, those living without permanent shelter but not counted in official numbers. And with only a handful of shelters across dozens of square miles, many have nowhere to turn when disaster strikes. A snowstorm can trap someone without food. A flooded road can cut off the only path to a local food pantry. Out here, there's no safety net, only luck and resilience. So whether it's the bustling city or the quiet countryside, homelessness flows through both worlds. Sometimes loud and chaotic, other times quiet and unseen. But eventually, that silence shatters. And the truth is this: Illinois isn't just a state divided by geography, it's a state united by crisis. This documentary isn't just about the facts, it's about the lives behind those facts. It's about understanding why, in a country with wealth beyond imagination, tens of thousands are slipping through the cracks. So as we begin this journey through Illinois in the year 2025, remember this: you don't need to travel far to find desperation. Sometimes, it's hiding just beneath the surface, in plain sight, waiting to be seen. Number 2. When the numbers turn dangerous. Let's talk numbers. And not just any numbers. We're talking about the kind that feel like a gut punch, the kind that take your breath away, the kind that once you hear them, you can't unhear. In the year 2023, Illinois reported just under 12,000 people experiencing homelessness. Now, even on its own, that number should raise alarms. That's enough to fill an entire arena. That's 12,000 individual lives, each one carrying a story, a struggle, a set of circumstances that led them to the edge. But what happened next? No one was truly ready for it. By the end of 2024, that number didn't just increase, it more than doubled. Illinois saw its homeless population spike to over 25,800 people, a shocking 116% increase in just 12 months. Let that sit with you for a moment. In a single year, more than 13,000 additional people, entire families, veterans, young adults aging out of foster care, survivors of domestic violence, found themselves without a place to call home. That's not a trend, that's not a cycle, that's a wildfire. A social emergency in real time. And the story doesn't end there. As of spring 2025, projections estimate that the number will soon reach and likely exceed 30,000 individuals living without stable housing across Illinois. To put that into context, imagine if the entire population of Galesburg, a small town in the heart of the state, suddenly lost their homes. Imagine every shopkeeper, every teacher, every toddler in a stroller now sleeping in a shelter, a car, or under an overpass. It's not just a statistic anymore, it's a knock at the door, and it's getting louder. This crisis has touched nearly every corner of Illinois, but nowhere has it hit harder than in Chicago. The city that draws in millions of tourists, hosts global summits, and boasts some of the tallest skyscrapers in North America, is also the place where over 18,800 people are now experiencing homelessness. That's a 200% increase compared to just 1 year prior. 2 times more people in shelters. 2 times more sleeping on sidewalks, in alleyways, under viaducts, or curled up in public transit stations. 2 times more desperately trying to stay warm, stay safe, and stay seen. And the most devastating part? Most of them are invisible to the public eye. We don't just see numbers on spreadsheets. We see mothers clutching the hands of their children as they wait in line outside a shelter, hoping there's still room left. We see elderly men sleeping in parked cars, too proud or too scared to ask for help. We see teenagers lingering in public libraries, not for books, but for shelter, warmth, and working outlets. And yet, none of this came out of nowhere. This crisis didn't happen because people suddenly stopped trying. It didn't begin because folks gave up. It's the result of several systems breaking at once: housing, healthcare, wages, social services, all collapsing like dominoes. And that collapse? It left real people in the rubble. We'll talk about those root causes in a moment, but for now, remember this. When we talk about homelessness in Illinois, we're not talking about something abstract. We're talking about neighbors, veterans, single parents, teenagers, people. Thousands of people. Right here, right now, in the middle of the Midwest. This is no longer a hidden problem. This is a siren blaring at full volume. And it's time we listened. Number 3, what broke the system? Let's be honest, homelessness doesn't just happen. It doesn't fall from the sky or sneak in overnight. It builds slowly, like a pressure cooker, until one day, it explodes. So what broke the system in Illinois? It starts with something basic, the cost of a roof over your head. As of early 2025, the average cost to rent a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Illinois has reached nearly $2,800 per month. Now consider this, the state minimum wage is $14 per hour, which adds up to just about $2,200 a month before taxes. Do the math, and you'll see the problem. People are being priced out of having a home. Even those working full-time are falling behind. living one flat tire or missed shift away from the streets. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Since 2022, more than 38,000 migrants have arrived in Chicago alone, many fleeing violence, poverty, or political instability in their home countries. Chicago has long been a city of refuge, but its housing system was already stretched thin. Shelters reached full capacity. Affordable housing vanished into wait lists months long. What was meant to be a safe landing became another form of displacement. A new wave of homelessness born not from addiction or mental illness, but from overcrowding and underplanning. Then came the ripple effect of the pandemic. After the emergency COVID relief packages expired and eviction moratoriums were lifted, thousands lost the only protections keeping them afloat. At the same time, inflation hit hard. Grocery prices soared by over 20% compared to pre-pandemic levels. Gas prices remained stubbornly high, and healthcare became a luxury instead of a right. People weren't just struggling, they were suffocating. And when you combine all that with low wages, unstable jobs, and no safety net, well, it's no surprise so many fell through the cracks. But perhaps the most overlooked piece of this puzzle lies in rural Illinois, where the silence speaks louder than the sirens of the city. In places like Clay County, Shelbyville, and Fayette, jobs have disappeared, shelters are non-existent, and public transportation is a distant dream. Imagine losing your job and having no bus to reach a food pantry, no nearby shelter to stay warm, and no car to leave. One snowstorm, one flooded road, and suddenly, your entire lifeline is gone. People don't just end up homeless in rural towns, they vanish into it. No data, no headlines, no help. All of this, the housing costs, the migrant influx, the end of pandemic aid, and the rural neglect, didn't just cause the crisis, they fueled it. Each factor is like a spark, and together, they set the state on fire. Now, the question isn't why people are homeless in Illinois. The question is, how did we let it get this far? Number 4, faces behind the crisis. It's easy to talk about statistics, easier still to talk about the homeless like they're a separate group, a distant issue, someone else's problem. But here's the truth. Homelessness doesn't have one face. It has thousands. And many of them look just like you and me. Let's start in Chicago, where we met Linda, a 41-year-old mother of 2. Just 2 years ago, she was renting a modest apartment in Little Village, paying around $1,400 a month. Then the rent skyrocketed to over $2,800. She'd juggled 2 jobs, one at a laundromat, another cleaning offices at night. But it still wasn't enough. She lost her lease. Today, Linda lives in a crowded shelter where her daughters, aged 7 and 10, draw pictures of a house with flowers in front. At least they still imagine something better, she told us, holding up a crayon drawing of a sunny front yard and a smiling dog. Then there's Raymond, a 65-year-old Army veteran from Decatur. He served in Afghanistan and came home with a leg injury and a mind full of things he can't forget. But the hardest battle? Navigating the system. He's been waiting more than 7 months for support from the VA. In the meantime, he sleeps in his old pickup, bundled in 3 coats to survive the cold. They say help is coming, he says, but winter doesn't wait. In Peoria, we sat with Kayla, just 20 years old. Her 18th birthday didn't bring freedom, it brought fear. She aged out of foster care with nowhere to go, no money, and no connections. One day, I was in a group home, she says. The next, I was on a park bench with a backpack and no plan. Now, she floats between shelters and empty train stations, staying invisible to stay safe. And in Urbana, we met Danielle, 27. She used to work in a bakery before the pandemic took her job, and then her apartment. Now, she lives in a tent behind a gas station with her dog, Charlie. He's all I've got, she whispers, stroking his fur. He doesn't care if I have a house. He just stays. These aren't distant stories, they're not statistics, they're people. Your neighbors, co-workers, classmates. They're proof that homelessness is not about them, it's about all of us. Because in today's world, it doesn't take much to fall. One illness, one paycheck, one lost job, and you're standing on that same edge. So the next time you pass someone sitting quietly on a corner, remember, behind that silence is a name. Behind that name, a life. And behind that life, a simple, stubborn hope that someone might still see them. Number 5, hope rising from the ashes. When the storm feels endless, even a flicker of light can feel like a miracle. And in Illinois, after years of spiraling numbers and shattered lives, that light is finally starting to shine through. In 2025, the state launched its most ambitious effort yet to fight homelessness, a policy called Home Illinois, championed by Governor J.B. Pritzker. Backed by a bold investment of nearly $290 million, this program isn't just talk, it's action, targeted, urgent, and focused on one powerful goal: functional zero. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean homelessness magically disappears overnight, but it does mean that anyone who becomes homeless, especially in crisis situations, can be quickly connected to housing and support, often within days. No endless waiting lists, no sleeping on sidewalks for months, just real help when it's needed most. And there's already movement. In 2024, the state placed over 4,000 people into permanent housing. This year, the goal is even bigger: 7,500 lives off the streets and into safety by the end of 2025. In Chicago, 500 new shelter beds have opened up, giving relief to a city overwhelmed by demand. And in small towns like Quincy, where shelters are few and far between, the state has begun converting abandoned motels into transitional housing, giving new purpose to old spaces. But perhaps the most innovative piece of this plan? It's called Jobs Plus Housing, a strategy that offers stable homes and employment support for people recently released from prison. Why? Because when someone gets out with nowhere to go, the system often sets them up to fail. By providing both a roof and a roadmap, Illinois is cutting recidivism and giving second chances that actually stick. And while government policy lays the foundation, it's community kindness that fills in the cracks. In Taylorville, there's a bakery that leaves fresh bread outside every night, no sign, no questions. In Maywood, a local barber gives free haircuts every Sunday morning, transforming dignity one trim at a time. Out in Vienna, a farmer stacks firewood near the edge of the woods, just enough for someone camping in the cold to make it through the night. And in Normal, the public library quietly extended its evening hours, not for the books, but for the teens with nowhere else to go. Because what solves homelessness isn't just policy, it's people. It's the understanding that hope doesn't always come in the form of a check or a speech. Sometimes it comes in the form of a sandwich, a blanket, a warm place to charge your phone, and sometimes it's as simple as someone saying, "You matter." So yes, the crisis is real, but so is the response. And in Illinois, amid the ash and aftermath, a new kind of shelter is being built, not just of walls and roofs, but of compassion. As we come to the end of this journey across Illinois, let's return to the image we opened with. A man standing alone on a street corner, bundled in layers that barely keep the cold out. People pass him by, some in a hurry, some pretending not to see. He doesn't ask for anything. He simply stands there, quiet, present, forgotten. Now let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. What would you do if you saw that man in your own neighborhood? Would you look away? Or would you stop, even just for a moment, to see him as more than a statistic? Because the truth is, we all walk by someone like him, in downtown Chicago, in a gas station off the interstate, in a public park you take your kids to. And the line between us and them, it's not as thick as we like to believe. One job loss, one bad diagnosis, one breakup, one storm, one wrong turn, and that line starts to blur. Throughout this documentary, we've traveled across a state that feels divided: urban versus rural, wealthy versus struggling, visible versus invisible. But what we've discovered is that homelessness doesn't draw those lines. It crosses them. Loud in the cities, silent in the countryside, but always there, rising, spreading, quietly shaping the future of Illinois. We've shown you the numbers, the kind that shake you, We've told you the stories, the kind that stay with you. And we've shared the efforts, the policies, the programs, the kindnesses that are making a difference, one life at a time. So, is there hope? Yes, but hope is not a passive thing. Hope is a choice. Hope is an action. Hope is a direction we walk toward, even if we're not sure where the road leads. And that's where you come in, because you, watching this right now, are not powerless. You can share this video and help raise awareness in a way that policy reports and data charts never could. You can leave a comment, not just to voice your opinion, but to create dialogue, share your own experience, say something others might need to hear. You can support shelters in your area. Volunteer a few hours, donate a warm coat, pack an extra sandwich, offer eye contact and dignity. You may not have $1 million to fix the problem, but maybe you have one moment of human connection, and that sometimes can be enough. At NVL Travel Documentary, we believe travel is more than just sightseeing. It's about seeing, truly seeing, the people, the stories, the truths that most guides and brochures leave out. And homelessness? It's not a detour. It's not a flaw in the system. It's a mirror reflecting what we value, what we ignore, and who we choose to care about. So as travelers and as humans, we have a choice. We can pass through this world like tourists, or we can walk it with open eyes, open hearts, and open hands. If this story moved you, if it made you think or feel or want to act, we invite you to support us by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing it with someone who needs to see it. Because awareness doesn't grow in silence, it grows in voices, in clicks, in conversations. And finally, we leave you with this. Travel is not just about seeing beautiful things, it's about seeing real things. Homelessness is not an exception, it's a reflection of the society we live in. And we, the travelers, we get to decide if we carry indifference or carry hope. Thank you for walking this journey with us. This is NVL Travel Documentary, and this is not the end. This is where the real journey begins.